Hi everyone, welcome to today's volunteer information session. I'm Audrey coming to you from Free Tax Prep LA, and I'm going to be covering a little bit about the VITA program, how you're going to get involved, and how you're going to make a huge difference in the community helping low-income people file their tax returns. So here's a little bit about a background about VITA. It's a program sponsored by the Internal Revenue Service, so it's nationwide, to provide free tax services to individuals making up to $67,000, seniors, or those with limited English speaking proficiency. Here in Los Angeles, we've created a collaborative of over 30 organizations and 50 VITA sites that is called Free Tax Prep LA. Our goal is to create public awareness and education to promote tax credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit among low to moderate income communities in the city and the county of Los Angeles. My organization, Koreatown Youth and Community Center, is a program that serves the evolving needs of the multi-ethnic community here in Koreatown. Our goal is to serve those who are recently immigrated, economically disadvantaged, and also to promote community socioeconomic empowerment. So you're going to really see that the VITA program aligns directly with our organization's mission. Now, to get things kicked off, we want to share a video that our volunteers put together to share why they're part of VITA. Oh my goodness, that was such a good video, and really, it speaks for itself. The volunteers just have wonderful things to say, and I hope that when you join, you will also share how much pleasure you had as a VITA volunteer. So let's kick things off. Why is VITA volunteering so important? Why would somebody come out, maybe on the weekend, on a Saturday to prepare taxes? Actually, for a lot of low-income people, financial wellness starts with tax prep. This is, a year-end roundup. How much money did they bring in? Did they make any personal investments that are deductions or credits? And then again, this is their biggest check, right? So when we talk about budgeting and planning and savings and having goals, it really helps to have that refund check. In addition, many low-income families pay too much for tax preparation, and they're even targeted for high-cost loans. If you've been around LA, maybe you go around the low-income areas, there are more tax preparers per square mile in lower-income communities because these individuals are expected to get a huge refund, a huge check, and they're often targeted for high-cost tax preparation fees, and then also those crazy loans where you can get your money immediately and take huge portions of that refund. This is so important for their daily budget. We don't want this money to go anywhere else but in their pockets. And in fact, low income people often leave money on the table. They may think, I made too little. I don't need to file. Why would I made below the threshold. And in fact, just alone in one credit, the earned income tax credit, each year in LA County, $566 million is estimated to be left on the table by not filing. Again, this does not include any like tax withholding, child tax credit, any credits from the state. This alone is just an EITC. And we know that in our times, if there was an injection of $600 million in our economy, everyone wins, especially our low-income families. More so, these credits are proven to fight childhood poverty. If you recall back in 2022, there was an expansion in the child tax credit. It actually brought the child poverty level to its lowest record since being measured. Lowest record in over 100 years to be below 5%. So we know that these tax credits are powerful. When people are claiming these dollars, it really impacts children and their development and their security and their well-being. Also, let's talk a little bit more about EITC. I brought that up. It is one of the largest tax credits you're going to see on the return. It is for low to moderate workers. You have to have a job to get the EITC. It's considered the nation's largest anti-poverty program. It has a much bigger impact on the lives of many more people's lives than things like rental subsidies, food assistance. It's more cash for more people. And this year, the federal EITC is going to be up to $7,830. And the Cal EITC, which is from the state of California, is now up to $3,644. So this combined, it's in a tremendous amount of money. And again, you have to be working low income. And to get the thousands of dollars, you have to have children. It is available to people without children. It's just not in these larger amounts. But alone, just with one credit, you can see it's very powerful, a lot of money, and it really does bring people out of the poverty level. So let's talk about volunteering. Hopefully you're as passionate as I am. You know that these dollars are so important and your time is so valuable. But we also want you to know there's so many benefits to volunteering. Keep in mind that you will be supported by staff and other experienced volunteers. As you recall in the video, some of the volunteers talk about the community among the volunteers. They're coming back year to year. And it's our goal to bring more people under this tent and support you so that you can be there for the community. We also host volunteer recognition events. We do things like letters of recommendation. We can also be a job reference. So we always want to recognize you for your time. If you are in banking or accounting, or an attorney, you qualify for things like pro bono, continued education, the CE, and also the CRA credit, the Community Reinvestment Act credit. These are professional development credits. Again, if you're in the field or headed to these fields, you can see how well known the VITA program is and respected, that you are earning professional credits and notoriety, right, for participating. Also, we provide refreshments and we have lunch on Saturdays, and we want, us to break bread and hang out with one another. So, it's much more than just a service, but really the volunteers have built a community of professionals, and it's just a wonderful experience to just meet new people with the same passion. Also, our schedule is quite convenient because we're serving the community. We actually have some sites that are open in the morning, afternoon, even after work hours, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, and on Saturdays. So making it really convenient where you can pick and choose when and where to volunteer. Our volunteering is in person and you can sign up online. So on our website, we have a volunteer hub and you create your page and you can pick and choose when to volunteer. You can enroll, unenroll if you can't make it. It makes it really easy where you're not tracking down a VITA site to try to serve. You're logging on and picking your own shift. Also, we have a very large capacity. A lot of our rooms are quite big where you can fit 8 to 10 preparers and 4 to 6 people to do intake. So it's you know it becomes a supportive network among all of the volunteers. If you're from a particular employer that wants everyone to go out all together, we could actually make that happen. Um, and that's why we have large capacity for volunteers. And at the VITA site, there are many opportunities. Not all of the opportunities require tax preparation. There's folks that help with scheduling appointments, there's greeters, there's folks that translate, there are folks that do intake. That's what I'm going to talk today about is intake and also tax prepare. And then there are other roles like a quality reviewer. This is someone who's a little more senior or maybe very experienced in tax prep. We also are looking for folks that can help us with social media and even taking videos, like the video that you just saw, right? So many opportunities to volunteer. Not everything is directly tax preparation. I am going to talk about intake, though, and tax prep in this video. So as an intake specialist, you are going to screen the client for qualification. You're also going to check their identity. You're going to collect all of their income tax forms, and you're going to help the client fill out the intake form. And the intake form is provided to us by the IRS. It has all the questions that a tax preparer needs to know about the family or the individual's income, credits, deductions, all of that. And then the tax preparer, you're also going to be helping with interviewing the client. You're going to prepare taxes. You're going to use TaxSlayer software and complete the return. So you'll see that's a little bit different from intake. Intake is kind of creating the file for the preparer. And I wanted to show you, as a preparer, there are 2 tests that are for tax preparers. If you are taking basic, if your goal is basic, like it's your first year, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to probably learn enough to do your own tax return. You're going to learn about the filing status. There are 5 of them, right? Single, married, head of household, widower. You're going to learn about all the income forms, all the deductions. You're going to learn about the most important credits and also Affordable Care Act. So as a preparer, you're going to pick between the basic track or the advanced track. Advanced, we always recommend, get into advanced, learn it all, because we need a lot of help with the self-employment and Schedule C. The other ones on the advanced list don't really come up as much. Our clients are not really dabbling too much into sale of stocks or IRAs, but they're really getting into Schedule C, self-employment, business income. And this is because there's been a proliferation of things like DoorDash, Uber driving, those kind of independent contractors, and individuals making cash. And so all of that is taxable, all of that is reported. It's actually a quite simple, I feel like it's one of the most simple types of tax returns, and it's so beneficial to learn about business taxes. This way you know what's right and wrong when you're listening to those experts, quote unquote, on social media. You're going to learn straight up how is a self-employment business return prepared. Also in advance, again, you'll learn all the other items listed there, sale of stocks, IRAs, itemized deduction. Itemized deduction is when you want to take deductions for things like donations, property tax, mortgage interest, medical and dental vision expenses. So maybe that's something that's interest of you because your tax return includes that. So these are the 2 types of levels within becoming a tax preparer. And I mentioned earlier you got to take tests, right? So let's talk about certifications. Everyone is going to take the 2 certifications on the left, Volunteer Standard of Conduct and Intake and Interview. Volunteer Standard of Conduct is an agreement between you and the VITA program that you're going to do everything honestly. You won't lie for your client. You will not promote your own personal business or your own gain. You will not deposit the client's refund into your account. It's only 10 questions long, and I'm pretty sure everyone here could probably take this test without studying. It's pretty much common sense, just keeping boundaries between the clients, and trust with the clients, and as a volunteer. The next one is the intake interview and quality review. This is going to test you on how to use that intake sheet, right? There's actually a worksheet that is the flow of the tax return. It's the flow of the software. It's called intake and interview. And so this test is also 10 questions long. It is open book as well. And it's going to make sure that you know all of, how to use the intake and interview sheet. And then on the very right, you see the test for the preparers. And you take either one of these. And basic is 30 questions, advanced is 35, and circular 230. This is for folks who are already professionals. So you can be an attorney, you can be an accountant, you have to be a CPA, or a preparer with a P10. You can take a test circular 230. So there's some perks if you are already a professional. So what we're looking at in timeline is sometime in January, you want to pass your volunteer standard of conduct and take an interview test. These two tests, like you can take them in the afternoon. They take about an hour each long, like the super simple, super quick. You're going to really focus your time on becoming a tax preparer. That's where you're going to use like some software, do some test questions. And you want to do that sometime late January, if not February. You basically have to take that test before you volunteer. So if you need more time, hey, pass it in the middle of February, pass it in March. And then you can start volunteering after that, right? And our tax season is going to go till April. So these are the certification paths. If you want more information on this and some or any of the training tools, which I'm going to go over in the next couple of slides, you can go to our volunteertaxprep.com website. The link is at the top. You can punch it in on the web browser, volunteertaxprep.com, and access all of the resources I'll be covering. So when you pass your test, you're going to get this agreement. And this agreement, outlines again the standards of conduct, that you'll be honest. And for all of the tests, you will need to complete with 80% or higher. Again, every test is open book. I didn't mention this earlier, but you could always email us your answers and have that reviewed before you submit it. And you're going to submit it online, and you'll see that the link is linklearncertification.com. This link is also on our website, so you don't have to jot this down. You're going to see that as one of the icons on our website. Again, you'll have to pass the test with 80% or higher. And when you pass, you're going to get this agreement. It'll be available on your your test page. You'll print it and you'll bring this. We need this agreement. We don't need any certificate. A certificate looks like an award. We don't need that. We actually need this agreement, because this agreement you sign and the VITA site signs it. And it's actually a way to protect you. I'm actually going to start reading the text on the bottom left. Volunteer Protection Act, you're going to prepare returns only within your level or give advice to tax topics that are within your scope. You will not solicit business, you won't solicit any business or any donations, and you will not knowingly prepare any returns with mistakes or omit information, right? Do everything honest. So you sign this, the VITA site signs this, and it actually protects you. So if you ever have any mistake, you're not personally liable. And this has actually never come up because there's so many checks and balances at the VITA site, and there's a lot of folks reviewing these returns. Again, the returns are so simple, you really can't. Like, if you were to mess up, it might be like a wrong number was put in, but all of that is not something to get anyone in trouble. It's fixed. It's usually caught before e-filing. And even so, if mistakes happen, we can reverse them with amendments. But In my many years, over a decade, years doing this, it actually has not come up. We just want you to know that you're protected. A lot of folks get nervous joining VITA because they think they're going to be sued. Trust me, VITA is one of the most honest programs, and there's a lot of more crazier stuff happening out there in the paid preparer world. So let's keep going. I mentioned our website and I mentioned the test, but I also want to show you our website where you can access each of these icons and see all of the resources you're going to use to study, take your test, all of that. So visiting our website, volunteertaxprep.com, you can access the resource guide, which is the 4012. You can get this at the VITA site. We can mail it to you right now. It's a really nice booklet with like tabs, and it's like in tax topics. It's in the same order as TaxSlayer. It's in the same order as the intake and interview sheet. So it's really easy to use. It's really fun to read because you can learn so much. And most of your test questions come from, the answers will be coming from the 4012. So what does it look like? It's this darker blue and white booklet. It's also available in an ebook. It's available as a PDF online. You could just really write IRS 4012. It comes up. In addition to the 4012, we can even give you the test booklet. It has all of the tests. It has all of the questions. There are no surprises. And that's the 6744. So you'll get those guides. You can email us. We'll send out those books to you. They're also just PDFs and ebooks if you want to access them from your tablet, your computer, laptop, anything like that. So moving on, the next icon brings us to the training sessions. We are hosting live Zoom. So we've already done 2 cohorts. We did one in November, December. We're going to have another one in January. These are on Zoom. All of these are now recorded onto YouTube. So if you really like live, join us on Zoom. If you want to go slow or take your time, or you can't meet when we're on Zoom, then find us on YouTube where we are right now. And our Zoom trainings kind of look like this. You'll go to our training page and you can pick and choose, and you're RSVPing for the Zoom training, and this is how you're going to get the Zoom information, by registering. It's also on volunteertaxprep.com. And then here we are on YouTube, and all of our training sessions are now on YouTube. Free Tax Prep LA. It's beautifully in order. This is a screenshot of 2023 because as I'm recording this, I will be uploading it to YouTube, and we will have those ready by January 2025. Next are all of the training tests. Again, each of these are their own booklets, or all together in the 6744. The standard of conduct and intake and interview, they make them as well, like kind of separate PDFs, but then they're also within the basic and advanced certification test, 6744, that last icon in the middle row. This is what they all look like. They're PDFs. The standard of conduct, again, it looks a little long for my liking, but really it's super common sense. Like, you do not deposit your client's refund in your account, you don't lie for them, and you don't give them like your personal number or business card. It's if you are a professional in things like banking or an attorney or even a college student, you could probably just take this test immediately. Intake and interview, the training is really making sure you know how to use the intake and interview sheet. And then the last booklet, 6744, has all of the tests together in one place. Next, this is my favorite tool. It's so fun. Is the practice lab for TaxSlayer. You're going to log in. We share the same password. Everyone shares the same password. Train Pro Web. It's probably the #1 question when folks get onto TaxSlayer. They're like, what's the password? It's right here. We just put it out there, Train Pro Web. You can already prepare like your own 2024 tax return. It is working. It's going to simulate the refund, the credits, the deductions. It's all been updated. I have not seen that California was working, but that usually, it's around like January where it's going to be uploaded. But that's the practice lab for TaxSlayer. It operates just like real TaxSlayer, and for a lot of folks, you're not going to need to remember all this stuff in the tests and remember anything. It's much better just to use your time using the software. Play around, get used to it. The software does so much for you. So this is what it looks like. You're going to be putting in their name, their, date of birth, and as we get to their income, maybe they have a child, right? It's going to do all the math for you. So you'll see you're not working on the forms. You're working on a simple, easy to use platform that you can go back and forth. You can search for things here. You can even, if you're not really sure about filing status, you can click on these windows and they do kind of a Q&A for you. They'll ask you, was this person married at the end of the year? Yes, no, and then it'll determine like something like filing status for you. So when you're all done with your studying and you've done your practice returns, if you're going to go for tax prepare, you're going to submit your test questions online. And again, the link, of course, it's on, linklearncertification.com, but you can get that link on Volunteer Tax Prep, our website. The test page is great. It does have some training tools on there too, if you want to use those training tools. And you can access everything in one place, but you're going to submit those test questions online. It's going to grade your test immediately. You could even log off, like, hey, I want to just put one question in, log off, come back another day, save your login and password and take your time when you're taking the test. So I also just want to, do like a recap. We covered so much. When you're on volunteertaxprep.com, you can access Zoom trainings, many dates in January. The YouTubes are now going to be uploaded. If you can't come to Zoom, you can watch them on YouTube. Also, all of the PDFs I mentioned. There's going to be the PDF for the training and the test for volunteer standards of conduct, intake and interview quality review, any tax. We covered basic and advanced, but keep in mind that they started to do there's additional tests like phone translator, circular 230, military, Puerto Rico, health savings. These are not that common. We don't really promote folks take these because we're not really seeing these at our VITA sites. On our website, you could also access TaxSlayer Lab and then also using the test page to submit the test and get your volunteer standard of conduct agreement that you're going to turn into the VITA site. So I went through that pretty fast. I just want to share, a little map of where the VITA sites are. Primarily, these VITA sites are in low-income communities. And so sometimes we get questions about, hey, I may live, I don't know, name something like Palos Verdes or something, and I don't have a VITA site in my town. It may not be the case because they're really focusing on the lower income areas. Usually these are at library, churches, community centers, city and county offices, things like that. KYCC, we have 2 centers. One is on 6th and Harvard. Another is Menlo Family Housing. And just wanted to give you a visual. There's many more across the county, but just as a reference and a little tip that they are in some particular parts of the community that are identified as high need. So I just want to wrap this up with, some tips and some commonly asked questions. My number 1 tip is do not try to remember everything. And it kind of ties into number 2. Because when you get onto TaxSlayer practice lab, you're going to see I don't really need to remember everything about the child tax credit or maybe earned income tax credit, because when I put the person's name in and I put their date of birth and that they have a child, the software is going to see their income and do all the math. So do not try to remember everything. It's really just a good idea just to learn the training, where to find information, right? Like on the volunteer resource guide, the 4012 has a really good reference tab. It's a reference tab booklet. So my number 1 tip, don't remember everything. Number 2 is get accustomed to TaxSlayer. Number 3, if you look at the tax questions, especially in basic, they're really trying to make sure, do you know the difference between earned income credit, child tax credit, credit for other dependents, dependency, and head of household? These all have to do with having like a child or a dependent. They're not all the same. There's slight differences among these. There's rarely a case where somebody gets all of these. And so the test is trying to figure out, do you know the difference? Again, use all of the resources. I briefly mentioned this a second ago. The Volunteer Resource Guide 4012 is great. It has tabs. It's like chapter section. And also the YouTube videos. They're great for locating information, some shortcuts. And it's okay to ask questions, look things up. We're at the tax site, we're always asking questions. Sometimes we make stuff up and we ask questions like, what happens if this and what happens if that? And we're looking up stuff all the time. We're reading the tax law. Not one person, not even one IRS employee knows all of the tax law. That's why it makes it so much fun to just work on this tool set and become a professional. All right, let's get into some frequently asked questions. How many hours do I need to volunteer? There is no minimum. Okay, we don't have that, but our recommendation is between 12 and 20 hours. And that's because in tax prep, you're going to put 12 to 20 hours probably in your study. And so you're really going to use the first maybe 2 days, 8 hours shadowing someone, or they're going to watch over you. And when you kind of get your flow, it's not till like the 9th or 10th hour, which is like your third time volunteering. And once you get a really good solid foundation on tax prep, I guarantee you you're going to have a great experience. You're going to be tapping part of your heart and soul and your mind in a new way, and you're going to enjoy what you're doing. If you plan to come once, it's not worth it. You put so much time into studying and learning everything. You're going to kind of be lost most of the time the first day. So if you kind of give up, it's none of it was worth it. You've got to give yourself, 2 shifts, probably shadowing someone or that they shadow you, which we do at our VITA site, and then guaranteed your third, your fourth, even your fifth shift. Ooh, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to have a great time meeting your clients, the other volunteers, and just expanding your mind and learning a new skill that is helping others, but also even for your own taxes. There are so many resources. This is question number 2. Where should I start? A lot of folks start with the test. They read over the test. They kind of get a feel like, okay, what is this question asking me? Half of your answers on the test could be answered just from the volunteer resource guide. Remember that 4012 I keep talking about? You can answer your first half of the test just flipping through that guide. The second half is going to be preparing taxes. So that's when like TaxSlayer comes in. Many volunteers do all of the training on their own. They don't even come to class. They really just take their time on the test. But coming to the Zoom classes and watching all the YouTubes, you're going to have more like a fast-paced learning, and you're going to have a great experience taking the test because you're going to have heard everything on those videos or in the Zoom. A lot of times when they're doing the YouTubes and the Zooms, they're going to tell you on that slide what test question is it answering. So that's hopefully that encourages you to attend some sort of class. But you can do it without the class, but it's a little bit kind of like speeding up the process. Next question is, when can I volunteer? Do I have to come every day? Well, volunteering starts late January, ends in April 15th. And I know a lot of volunteers have different types of goals and reasons of why they serve. They may be part of a college, university, their law school, maybe they're a banker and the bank has goals. So you kind of want to say, okay, late January to mid-April, you really just have like 3.5 months. And to put in, 12 to 20 hours, it's probably like, 4 hours or a couple hours a week, right? You're going to sign up online and you can pick the individual shifts. So you don't have to like come every day. You don't need to come every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday. You pick and choose. It's up to you. We don't have any type of obligation that you are a regular volunteer, but we just encourage you to just put a little bit of time into serving. You're going to have a much more rewarding experience. And when you sign up online, you're reserving your spot. A lot of these sites have caps. So if you can't make it, we ask that you unenroll because another volunteer may be checking out that page every day to see if there's an opening. If you unenroll, it lets someone else take that spot. And so we just want to like automate it, and we want all the volunteers to have every seat to be filled and not deny anyone from volunteering. So just keep track of your RSVPs. If you can make it, cannot make it, all of that is so important. And you can do that on volunteertaxprep.com. Well, we're at the end. I want to thank everyone. This is our phone number, 213-365-7400. You can email us, and we check. This email address actually goes to about 3 staff, so we check, test for a lot of volunteers. So if you go ahead and take your volunteer standard of conduct, just send us your questions, 1 through 10, blah, blah, blah. We will check it within 1 business day. And sometimes if it's a test with a lot of errors, we'll just email you and say, hey, this might take me a long time, because we're actually going to give you some advice, right? Hey, like, did this is not a widower because, a widower, blah, 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 right? We might give you some explanation. So if it takes a little longer, we'll let you know. But just want to keep it open that you can email us your test questions. You can email us your questions about volunteering, the program, anything like that. This email goes to about 4 to 5 staff. So we just want to make sure like everyone is assisted as soon as possible. But this is the end of today's training. I hope you enjoyed the information session. All of you have been so great, and we can't wait to see you at the VITA site. Thank you so much.